The text messages between Higgins and Linda Reynolds and her partner make it clear, often in vulgar language, that Morrison and the government were in their sights. Higgins' partner Shiraz claims that Prime Minister Albanese when he was opposition leader, gave his number to Higgins' partner, now fiancé, and Albo offered a flight to Canberra to meet Higgins. And that Senator Gallagher was, quote, his words, really invested with Miss Higgins, suggesting they, quote, feed everything to the senator so she could grill the government at Senate estimates. Of course, we now learn that the former Prime Ministerial staffer, Fiona Brown, is a victim of the behaviour of the opposition on this matter, and that Scott Morrison himself may have misled the Parliament when he talked about, because he was really mealy-mouthed, wanting to accommodate the other side, and he didn't want to upset anyone, and so he sort of threw Fiona Brown under a bus. He talked about meeting with Fiona Brown, now Fiona Brown was seconded from the Prime Minister's office into Linda Reynolds' office, but she was a senior and highly respected staffer, and she's been damaged by all of this. Lies have been told about her. The Prime Minister said, well, he'd met with Fiona Brown, and she reportedly had given Higgins every support she needed. Now, Morrison did not meet with Fiona Brown. He said hello to her in the car. Hello, Fiona. That's not a meeting. Morrison has misled the Parliament. What the hell was going on here? Higgins had them on the run. But Gallagher's now conceded that she had prior knowledge, so she lied at Senate estimates. Now, Dutton is a former cop. It's now time to go after the arrests, Peter. If the Dutton-led opposition can't bury the government on what seems a simple truth, that the Albanese-led opposition and the mean girls used the Higgins story as a political weapon against Morrison and other members of the coalition. If Dutton can't bury the government on this, the opposition will be in opposition for a long time. And what a weak-kneed individual do we have in Chalmers, the Treasurer. Quote, the idea that Katie Gallagher has misled the Senate is frankly absurd. And more than that, the idea that Katie hasn't acted with utmost integrity and diligence is equally absurd. Just as absurd as you are, Jim Chalmers. You need a stiff English lesson on the meaning of words. And remember, Gallagher, as finance minister, is responsible for the department that paid the confidential settlement of millions of dollars over the claim by Higgins that she wasn't properly supported by her boss, the then Defence Minister Linda Reynolds. Gallagher coughed up the money, millions of dollars, unexplained and confidential. Perhaps Prime Minister Albanese made to explain why his government barred Senator Reynolds from providing evidence in the compensation case, threatening to tear up an agreement to pay Reynolds legal fees unless Reynolds agreed not to attend the one-day mediation where the taxpayer was ripped off and Higgins given millions of dollars by Senator Gallagher's department. But Higgins' partner, fiancé Shiraz, boasted that Senator Gallagher was an old friend. Which political figures, all Labor, did the partner Shiraz arrange meetings with? The text messages mentioned several, including Anthony Albanese, and the then government was peppered with questions, dozens of them, during February and March. And didn't Higgins on March 26, 2021 boast that the then Prime Minister Scott Morrison is about to be effed over? Oh, lovely language, don't you like it? This is Higgins. March 21, is about to be effed over. We've got him. That's what she said. I repeat, Dutton's a former cop. Peter Dutton, liars, charlatans, conspirators, dissemblers and weaponisers need to be politically arrested. Abbott, as opposition leader, would have made mincemeat of this mob. It's time for the opposition on our behalf to stand up. We are sick to death of the Higgins affair and all the perceived dishonesty and plotting associated with it. One final point. Dutton's talked about referring the whole matter to the new National Anti-Corruption Commission. Why did the Prime Minister say it would be entirely inappropriate for politicians to direct the National Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate the matter? But the Attorney-General, Dreyfus, last year said the opposite, that the National Anti-Corruption Commission should take, quote-unquote, very seriously any referral made by a minister. If this matter isn't worthy of going before a National Anti-Corruption Commission, you may as well disband the whole thing before it begins on July 1.